Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, we tackle the Fukien Tea. I'm ready to tackle the Fukien Tea, the Carmona retusa also known as. The Fukien Tea is also called the Fujian Tea, which is a region in China, a province in China, Fujian. That's the area, and that's where it originates, from China. There's also some history back in the Japan area. There's also Taiwan, in Asia, in India, and Australia. So the Fujian or Fukien Tea, Carmona retusa, we're going to get digging into that today. All set to dig into the Fukien Tea. So if you look around the tree, you'll notice some of the real nice little tiny white flowers. They're in several spots. White flowers are looking nice and pretty. Got some ones that are dying off now. They've kind of lived their life and they're falling off. Got a couple dead ones up here. The Fukien Tea has been a bit of a finicky tree, so the finicky Fukien, if you can say that fast a whole bunch of times. I've transplanted this once since I purchased it. This was back in 2019. And so coming up here in 2021, I'm probably going to repot this tree. I'm not going to do that now. It is the first part of January 2021, and I pruned this pretty heavy in February of 19, and then it didn't grow much in my plant room, and then we got it outside, so another change in environment, and then it took off like crazy later in the summer of 2020.
And then all of a sudden this year, out on the porch with the rainy year we had and a little bit of warmth in the summer here in Minnesota, but it all of a sudden just started taking off a few weeks before we were going to lose the summer warmth. And it started getting leggy. I brought it into the plant room, and in here it never gets below 65 or so, up towards 80 sometimes. And yeah, it has loved the transition. All the big leaves have fallen off. We got some of the leaves that are dying and falling off right here. So a lot of the big leaves have fallen off. There's a few in here. But these leggy branches are going crazy.
This year I'm going to do some trimming here in January, about a month earlier. And the reason why I'm working on it now, as I say often in the bonsai tree cutting, pruning, working world, you want your tree to be able to be in good shape. Your tree needs to be healthy. So if your tree is healthy and it's got enough to sustain and maybe enough to give even more, then you can probably start doing a little bit of trimming work on it. It went through a phase where it dropped its leaves, and then it started to put on some more leaves, and in the last week or two, the white flowers started to go crazy with budding. You might also see some small round green, red, or black berries on the Fukien Tea. I have yet to see any berries on my Fukien Tea, so that's new to me. We'll see what happens. My particular Fukien had some dieback in the last year, so I had to cut this thing back a little bit. Very often you'll see a Fukien Tea in a store, in a nursery store, and it's got the real big S-curve. Very well known for its S-curves in nursery stock. And I'm not a huge S-curve person, but I really was intrigued by the Fukien Tea, so I picked one up a couple of years ago. And so this one is it. The shoots are going like crazy, so I want to bring that all back to get a little bit more compact. And I want to make sure that we can get some more ramification of some sort on this tree, because there's not a ton of direction of where I want this tree to go yet. I'll go ahead and give it a spin for you now. I believe you're looking at the back of the tree, actually. And this might be the front. I'll take a peek at that myself. So that. Or that. Spin it back around to this side. From this angle, it's hard to tell. We got this branch coming right in our face. There's two of them here, but if we get those out of the way, you can see the branches. You can see that movement. It does tend to lean towards the audience here a little bit, with these branches up here, if I have that as the front. So what to do with the Fukien? Mainly today it's just going to be shortening and compacting this this tree. We want to make this shorter and more compact. I have to decide on a couple of thick branches, I think possibly here. And if you can see right here, there is the big dieback right there. Broke off right there. So I've got this thick trunk. It goes up. It's just as thick as it is here. So I could take it off right here. And then I got this nice S movement here. And we could bring the tree up over here and get rid of this thick branch right here. But because I've had some finickiness with this tree, I wanted to leave this on and see what this branch over here would do. And it split off pretty nicely. We got a branch over here, branch above it, and it splits real nicely up here. So there's some splitting going on there, but it's very, if I turn it this way, it's all flat this way. There's not a lot of on top of each other or a nice round, thick area here. It's all pretty flat. This up here branch is doing the opposite. These two kind of go back this way, and these go more this way, and this one's going up towards you a little bit. There's more movement up here for sure, more branch choices and direction. We got something to do right here. If you think about this right here, we got this branch here or this branch here. This one looking like it's going to be the leader, or is this the leader? But either way, we've got these two thicker ones and these two thinner ones, but this one and this one are growing from the same spot on the trunk line. So right here on the trunk line, it continues this way and splits right there right away. So I could cut this whole entire branch off right here and let this be the new leader, because then we've got this movement. It also kind of comes up this way, goes over this way, comes towards the camera a little bit, and then is going back over to my right, your left. But again, if you look at these two branches, the one up here, this big, really nice branch, it's real close to this guy right here. These two right here, it's got a very interesting split right here. This one right here is actually growing in the armpit of these two branches, right? These two split out like this, and then that one branch is going right out here. So that's not a very desirable branch, not a desirable location, but it's in a spot from this direction. You can't see really where it's grown, and if it were to get some height and do something, you would fill out the tree top to bottom. There's also a very straight section to this trunk. I've linked down into the description the former videos from this Fukien Tea, and again, this is super straight, then it takes a real big bend. So it looks a little artificial there. It's not very smooth. I tried to make this not perpendicular to the ground, and it's a little bit slanted this way, but it seems to have gone shifted back more this way. So, this might be one where I have to go like this to the tree. Maybe we make it go this way, but then that makes the trunk straight up and down. So I think maybe we go more this way. A couple other things to keep in mind with Fukien Teas. Likes a lot of sunlight, but in the middle of the day, hot summer days in Minnesota, you might want to keep it out of the direct sun. So it's going to be a full to part full sun, especially in that middle day part. So get that early sun, that mid to late sun, but right in the middle of the day, you might want to keep it a little bit more protected there. So that's one thing with the light. They like a lot of water, but they don't want to be like soaked in water. So the roots don't want to be wet, standing in water. But you can water them quite often because they do like to stay moist. And then I mist mine in my plant room 2 to 3 times a day. So the misting really helps as well. They do like that warm climate. They like to be in the 70s. And then when you take it outside in our Minnesota climate, you want to make sure the evenings are not getting below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So at night it's got to be 50 and above, otherwise it's going to start going, huh? And might not like that and lose some leaves, slow down its growth, and you maybe took it out too soon. And then in the fall, too, you want to bring it in when it starts to get close to that 50 degrees or colder. Some of the resources even say 60 and above. So, again, the finicky Fukien, it can be all over the map. And I've had a lot of strange, not quite sure how it's going to grow, like a typical growing season for most trees. It seems to be really all over the place for me. Some of my resources say that it's one of the favorite early, easy bonsais to take care of, and I couldn't disagree more. I think a lot of the ficuses that I've had are way easier than the Fukien, and of course the juniper variety, which a lot of us start with, is also a lot easier, I think, than a Fukien so far, but definitely some of the tropicals. When it comes to fertilization for the Fukien tea, make sure you don't give too much nitrogen. I've done in my research and seen a little bit on some resources. that we don't want to over fertilize with that nitrogen. So we want to keep it at that maybe 2-2-2 with your fertilizer. Keep it nice and equal with the 3 parts. And you can fertilize heavier in the early spring, and then you can kind of go through the summer months, and you're going to kind of drop it off in the winter months, and you don't have to worry about so much fertilizing over the winter. Again, you might want to let it go semi-dormant for a couple of months in your plant room in that 60-degree or warmer area. We're not talking 40s dormant, like my cold frame for the temperate trees. But we want to keep that a little bit, subdued for a couple of months, let it rest for a while, right? But again, 60 and higher degrees would be great, 50 at the very lowest, okay? How about that for the angle of the tree? And then we're going to have this apical region, maybe this conical shape that's this way, with a big swoop this way and not as much over here, right? It goes down like this, but not a perfect Christmas tree. It's going to kind of go like that. So this as the front, you see this scar a little bit too much. This as the front, this is kind of blocking our view, so we have to lift it up. I love this curvy curve right there. That's just all natural. No wires have touched this since I purchased it. And then it hides the scar here a little bit. This grows more to our face, and this grows to our face. But this is that branch I was telling you about that is growing out of that armpit area, right? I don't mind this look though, especially when you move that branch. You can see some movement in that tree. We're not going to rush our bonsai. We're going to take our time and kind of think and see what's happening. So for some reason it was growing up and then it just kind of went all over this way if we get rid of this stuff. And if I go this way, this is certainly going off to the back a lot. Certainly is all very bendable. I can do a lot of wiring at some point. I'm not going to do that today. We want to repot the Fukien tea about every 2 years. So that's coming up in 2021 for me in a few months. So I'm going to do this pruning work now, give it a month or 2 solid to let it start to kind of establish itself and feel a little bit better in my nice controlled climate here, and then we'll see if it's healthy enough to do some repotting this spring. I might wait to a little bit later in the spring before a repot because I didn't get a lot of extended growth until midsummer last year before it really took off again. So I think I can push the repot to that March or April time and perhaps be okay. When you root prune the Fukien tea, again, the research that I've seen shows that you want to be very careful and gentle with these roots. You don't want to get much more pruning than 10%. About 10% of pruning, maybe up to 20, but that's pushing it. 25 would be the absolute most, according to what I'm finding online and from other people in the research I've looked at. So keep it that 10 to 15% range. You're not going to trim a whole lot. Mine aren't going to be too terribly long in here, I don't think. It's in a pot right now that's about a 6-inch long by 4-inch wide pot. I'm not going to have terribly large roots in there at the moment, so I can cut back about 10-20% and be probably just fine. Well, I certainly have some decisions to make. One thing I do know for certain, even though it's the best branch, if I have this as the tree either from your angle or my angle, look at this branch right here. It goes up over here, curves around like this, and it's got this really, that's a triangle corner. That's not a soft round curve like this one is. That's like triangle over that direction. Do I get rid of this whole beefy branch? Oh. Well, I'm going to make this a little easier on myself, and I'm just going to trim it up shorter first. So I have a lot of branch on here. So I'm going to cut shorter. Everywhere that I have all this growth, we're going to cut it a little bit shorter. Make some quick decisions here. I'm not going to root any of these because I don't think it's the best time of year for the Fukien to go ahead and do some cuttings. Of course, you can always try. Let's get these front ones going. Now, of course, when I just shorten up the long legginess of it, it already looks like a better tree. It already feels a lot nicer. I do really like this branch right here, though, all this movement here, and it's going out this way. So this one I really like. You'll notice right here there's a split right here. It's a nice split into two, but it's a little bit chunky down here. See this little chunk down there? And there's another branch back here, another branch back here. So in the every other design, if I tilt this up even further for you, every other, we've got one, and then two, and then one of these two would be three. So I could cut one of these off and I would still have 1, 2, 3 every other. This side, up here, and then this side. And I could cut this one down. So there's not this big bulge back here where these two are growing. There's kind of a bulge. Maybe I can clean that up. It's just, will it have the right movement that I want? I may even cut the whole tree off right here. Right here. Get rid of all that and have this be the branch. Because it grows this way a little bit, and then if I keep this back branch, it grows that way. So I have this curve this way, and there's this branch right here for some depth. I can get rid of this whole front section maybe. What to do? And again, that depends upon partially what the front is. Okay, regardless, I don't like the one. But see, there's the angle right there. Do I get rid of that one and keep this one in case I like it better? Because of that sharp angle? Also, you guys are looking at the tree this way. What if the front becomes a little bit more like that? You know, can you see that tree a little bit better? And then we get rid of this. We get rid of this one right here. So instead of straight on like it is right now, what if we turn it like this? And we get all this nice action over here. I do not like this branch, though, that jets right back to make that triangle shape. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that one off. That's my first decision on this tree. That's a pretty hefty branch. I hope I don't regret that later. Alright, so we'll clean that up a little bit. Fukien Tea, when you make some of your prunes, they do have, you know, very kind of rough looking bumps and edges to these prunes sometimes. So it can get kind of that bulgy look. But it also has some of these neat little curves here. Right in here, if you can see this subtle little curve right here, it goes up like this a little bit, right here. Whoop. Just like that. Let me turn it around to show you the other direction. Right here. This little curve right there. Just that little bit of movement. And then it goes straight for a while, and then it's going to move again hopefully later. So we want to get all that movement. Alright, so I made that first decision. It does not now it does not have that tree going this way and then all of a sudden there's that triangle right there. We didn't like that. I didn't like that. Whether this is the front or not, I'm going to cut it back at least to here, so I can see more of the tree, see what I want to do. So if we talk about directional pruning, and I don't like any of these branches coming right at the camera, why don't I cut this off right here? Now it's gone. It's just a little bit of greenery there, and we'll see if those can grow more up towards the sun. So I have to be careful here now, because the bulk of this part of the tree is going all towards the back if that's the front. And if this is the front, it all comes towards us, which is not very appealing. Again, unless we change the front from this to more like this, and we get rid of this branch right here and grow everything to the right. But look, I have 1, 2, 3 branches growing on the right side and nothing on the left except for this one. So that's not every other. That's not very attractive. However, if I were to cut down to here and here, I've got a split right there. And I only have 1, 2, and then to the left. And then again, maybe this can grow up towards the top right here. In case this is the front, I'm going to go ahead and cut that back a little bit more. So I just cut this back a little bit more. It's down to about 6 sections of leaves, maybe, or 4 rather. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves there. I could cut back to 2. I'm going to cut back to 3. And then we'll see what happens with our tree, and depending upon what's the front and maybe how it grows next year. Maybe we just leave it at that for right now. So this is too long. This is too long. This is too long. This is too long. All right. We're almost done. So from this angle, it's a little bit more presented towards you. All the leaves are kind of facing that way and up to the sky in that way. This way is kind of the underneath side. So it makes this look like a lot better front right now, doesn't it? Somewhere around there. A lot better front. And hopefully, of course, this wound heals over time. Unless someday I chop this entire branch off and then we have thicker to thinner. And we get rid of this whole thing here. And it just kind of has this curve here. And then all the tree comes up here. But we like to have some negative space filled over here, right? With the main tree growing over here. But maybe this is just still too big back here. Cut this one shorter because it is kind of staring at us a little bit. This is all kind of one thickness. See down here, it's a little bit thinner here than it is there, not much. But then here's the thinner branch back here. So if I go ahead and cut this one right here. Now I got that movement I like. The movement comes up and curves here. It comes towards the camera a little bit, then comes this way. And even though this branch is coming at you still, this right here wants to curve this way. And then I've got another little, some bigger leaves over here that might be turning into some trees, right? So then we've got this long stick pole right here. Look at this right there. That's too long. So we're going to cut that down to 2 or 3. I got 1, 2, 3 sets of leaves, so we'll leave that one there. This one right here, this one is going to be the new apex of the tree perhaps. This will get thicker because it's going to have all the oxen on top and it's going to want to reach to get taller. This one might be secondary. Got a nice bud right here. If this starts to grow up this way and fill up the tree more this way, some of these branches down here could take off. Directional pruning wise, I've got this over here, I've got this over here, and I've got this over here. So if I just go one shorter, we'll see if that can grow this way and split this way. And if I do that, do I want to shorten this one up one more? I think I will. To see what kind of separation that gives. So I think I'm done there. So this is the hard front before, but if I go like this in the repot in the spring, I've got a tree with a little bit more, and if I could even tilt it this way a little bit more. Let's get my, there, how about that? How does that look? That might be coming a little bit too much in our face, but I could maybe lessen that to about half of that, to down to right about there where it was, I suppose. Right there. So this tree is very flat this way until I try to get some more growth. But from the front now, if I do consider this my new front, I really like that. And even if this is the front, that's not half bad either. I just might want to change the direction of this to right there. But even that's not bad right there. So my last question is this right side to you guys, my left. Again, I have 1, 2, 3, and then this guy. So I don't have a good every other. So if I cut this guy off, I lose my every other. I lose that for sure. The only chance is if one of these take off right here, this leaf right here, this leaf right here, if they could take off and go up, I would have some every other on this side. So do I take some of the vigor off of here in hopes that these grow? That might be worth trying. What I can do for sure is take it down to there, take off some of that vigor to let this be a little bit bigger and stronger. All right. So we want our bottom branch to be the bigger branch, so I cut this back a little bit. Cut this one back a little bit. So we got a little bit more of that, shape. I think it's time to put down the tools. Whether that's the front or that's the front, I'm not opposed to either one at the moment. I seem to be leaning towards this because you can see the leaves and see a little bit more depth to the tree. And there we have our Fukien Tea trimmed and ready to start a new season of growth. And hopefully a repot this spring. The finicky Fukien Tea. That was a lot of fun. I have worked on a tree for a couple of days. I start to get a little withdrawal symptoms. So we got the Fukien back there. Oh my gosh, it's taking up a third of the space. Those shoots, we took off about a foot on some of those. So we're going to keep it here nice and warm and cozy in the plant room and let it rejuvenate. We'll keep misting that thing and keeping it moist, and we'll see what happens on that. The Fukien Tea, the finicky Fukien, we'll see what happens. We'll give it time. I can't wait to see if it starts to grow, and then we'll determine if it's worthy of doing a repot in the spring. I might wait till later in the spring, as I mentioned earlier. Maybe I'll wait till next year, 2022. Maybe 3 years in this pot will be fine. I'll kind of poke around the soil and see how the roots are looking, and maybe I can get by with another year. If things look healthy, maybe I'll just leave it alone. I want to show you an update. So we're going to take a peek at the Weeping Willow project. So let me set the stage here. If you haven't seen that episode, you can go back and check that episode. I'll put that link down below too. Oh, and incidentally, the link to the former Fukien Tea series, the playlist will be down there. I had some critters chewing on my Peninsula Weeping Willow. And I thought I was going to be a goner, right? What do I do? So I attempted an air layer about 2 or 3 weeks back. But I'm going to show you right now what the tree looks like so far. Now, I can't see any roots at the moment. I can't see through the cellophane tape, that saran wrap, if you will. I can't see any roots poking through. I think that'd be awfully fast production. However, the willows do root very fast. And so take a peek, though, at the greenery at the base of where this tree originally split. Look at what's going on. Fantastic. It's so exciting. I love seeing growth in the plant room, always. So I hope things are going well. You'll also notice that I cut off all the extra leaves. There are extra branches. Some of the branches that were a little bit bigger were starting to change that color, and is it going to die? I'm just going to cut all that back and let this now take off. There's some green, there's some early photosynthesis going on. Super excited to see the growth here in the plant room of the Weeping Willow on the peninsula. So there is hope. So that does it for another episode of Dave's Bonsai. Make sure you check out the links below in the description for Empire Bonsai and Bonsai Outlet, as well as the many fabulous members of the Minnesota Bonsai Society. So thanks again for watching. Click like, send me some questions, comments, concerns. Love to hear from you as always. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Please be safe. Take care of you. Take care of your bonsai. And we will see you very, very soon.